Hey everyone, it's Ranu Sapnis with Mandala Doc. I am a left-handed mandala artist from California, and today I'm going to show you how I do brushstrokes so you can see that while it's hard learning as a lefty watching all right-handed artists, it's definitely possible. I really struggled at the beginning on how to hold my hand, how to move the brush. So I'm hoping that this will help. I am sure that not every left-handed artist will be able to use my hand positioning and everything, but I'm hoping that this will help you kind of learn how to tweak your movements so that you can get nice smooth brush strokes. So for today, we just need a few supplies. So I am using the XDT brand brushes. I think I'm gonna use the number 0 brush and the number 3/0 brush. But really the brand doesn't matter. It's just the liner, the long rigger brushes. These will help you get nice thick brush strokes with a really thin tip. Some paint, so I'm gonna be using my 24 rainbow paint palette because they're getting a little bit old, and this is perfect. Practice is perfect to use up those palettes. And then my friend Demi has a pack of practice sheets that you can print out on her website. So if you go to her website, she's got a bunch of classes and then these guide sheets that you can purchase, and they're really helpful. You can print them as many times as you want. They're great patterns that you can use in your own designs, but then printing them out on the cardstock is really helpful for practice. So we're gonna take all this up to my art desk and we'll get started on our left-handed brushstroke practice. Okay, so Demi at Thoughtful Dots has this sheet as well, so you can make your own patterns. But what I think I'm going to show you is how I hold my brush and also how I do my pressure. So I think for lefties, the biggest thing that I struggled with was, how to position my hand. All of us, I think, hold our pencil differently because we all adapted to learn how to not smear as we write. So for me, I hold my pencil very oddly, I think. So I hold my pencil like this. So I hold my brush like this. So you might want to kind of see how you hold your pencil because you're going to feel most comfortable holding your brush in a similar way. So for, right-handed people, they often hold their, I guess like this. They hold their pencil like this. I don't hold my left-handed pencil like this. This would be very awkward for me to try. I just don't feel comfortable. So I switch it to the way I hold my pencil. And then in calligraphy is where I learned how to position. So when you're doing calligraphy, you're doing a lot of thick and thin strokes. So I had to sometimes turn my paper all the way to be able to, get the strokes to go in the right direction. So the same is true here for brush strokes. You might notice that, you want to paint over here instead of right in front of you when you're doing. So you might want to paint like this when you're doing strokes over here instead of right on top where you can't see what you're doing. So sometimes what I'll do when I'm going upward is I will paint right in front of me like this because I can see what I'm doing. But when I'm going this way, it's a little bit hard. Like if I'm painting over here, my hand is covering what I'm doing. So if you come over here to the, to the side, to your left side, you can see a little bit better. And that's personal preference. We'll just take, a little bit of trial and error. See, I think now I can pretty much, but you can see when you're sitting in front of it that my hand is actually covering half of what I'm doing. Whereas over here, I can see the whole thing. So just play with it, see what works for you. Play around with positioning of your hand, and these guide sheets are really good for practicing before you practice on your big pieces, because this paper you can move in any direction and kind of play with different positions and locations of your hand, locations of the paper, the angle of the paper. It will really help you. And like I said, I use that a lot in calligraphy to practice and learn what was comfortable. Same thing is true for these brush strokes. Okay, so let's try just some basic kind of straight up and down strokes. So what I'm going to do is practice going up just straight for now, and you'll see how the brush kind of goes down and up. And I'm recording from the side this time, so hopefully you can see my hand position and kind of watch how the brush is gliding on the paper. And then we'll do some curved ones too. I'm going to use a big brush for this. This is the 0 size, and you'll find the different brands have different sizes. So you'll just pick a brand you like and then learn what sizes are appropriate for. So here's the paint, and you want it pretty saturated. That'll get you really nice texture on your brush strokes. So here we go. I'm gonna start on this second to last guide mark, push down all the way, and then slowly release. Okay, and we'll do it again. So I'm planning that I want it to start here and end here. So that's how I will kind of gauge. So down, push. And then release. These are very therapeutic. And again, I know I keep talking about calligraphy, but this is basically what you do. You do hand exercises and stroke practice, and it's how you get better. And slow and steady. I do see some people like kind of flick at the end, so let me show you. So they just go down and then flick. I don't know, for me it doesn't work as well. So I like the nice, steady, meditative, slow brush strokes. They all look pretty even to me. Okay, so now let's use our next color, and we're gonna try to do a curve. So I'm gonna use my chalk pencil here, and maybe this is about the middle, so we'll try to do some curves. So I'm just gonna make some curves here. And you can, I've seen people do, even on their mandala, like draw these out, which can be helpful. I don't do it. I usually can just eyeball it, but if you're starting out and want to know like how far you want to curve it, this might be helpful. So I'm not twisting my hand. This paint is kind of chunky. Let's see. Just pushing down. Following that curve here and getting lighter. And these are a little skinny, so what I'm going to try to do with the next one, I'm just going to get a lot more paint and use a lot more pressure. We'll see what happens here. So a lot more paint, a lot more pressure, following that same curve. Yeah, that looks great. So you can see you can get a thicker stroke with just more paint and more pressure. Same brush. And then we'll do some going the opposite way here. So lots of pressure here. Nice and slow. And like I said, you'll find that one direction might be more comfortable than the others. You just have to practice. The other side, it will come. Here, do a couple more of these. We'll do one more. And let me do one more. So sometimes you'll have to really curve around your design. So you might have to come down, around, and over. And so if you really have like a more complex curve, just practice it on paper. It'll help you get the hand movement here. And I know sometimes if I'm doing something that's a little bit difficult, I'll do one side of it like constantly, because you'll have that muscle memory, and then come around and do the other side. You may have to wait because otherwise you'll smear it, but it might be worth it to do it. I just have a lot of bubbles in this paint today, but try it a little bit. You can see they're nice, juicy, and pretty consistent. Okay, and then I'm going to show you the other way. So this is the part that's challenging for me, going this way, so going down, but we have to do it. So we'll start doing our straights. So I'm going to get a good amount of paint here. We're going to go starting up and come down and just practice the straight stroke. These are good drills. And you can see they're not as nice and tapered as I usually like them, but I'll do. So next one, I'm going to practice a little bit longer. Looks good. And even longer, so we'll start higher. So you can get whatever size you need for your design. Okay, now we'll try some of these curved here. So we'll go down like that. So just make sure you can see. So again, I'm going to push down and follow this curve. Do maybe one a little bit longer. And one right next to it. There, and let's do 3 on the other side. Try to mirror it. Usually you have a pattern on the inside that you're following, so this isn't exactly mirrored. These are looking better than my normal. I should practice more. Okay, we'll go here. Great. So, lefties can do it. Okay, so we're gonna do left-handed brush strokes. I'm going to video it from above, and then I'll probably do some from the side so you can see my hands. So this is the XDT brand. I use actually 3 different brands regularly, but you can see, I'm gonna put these in order by size. So the brushes, when it's just the plain number, that's the bigger brushes. The 2/0 and the 3/0, they just get smaller here. So for this kind of medium one, I'll probably use the 0 brush and maybe the 3/0 here, just to make it simple. This is 1/4 of my giant rainbow palette, so we'll use that. And I've got my art water and a paper towel here. Okay, so and this guide sheet was made by Thoughtful Dots. I learned all my brushstroke techniques from her. She has a really large selection of these patterns and these sheets that you can print out and then practice. So if you go to her website, I'll link it down below, but you can purchase these sheets for practice. And she's got lots of different patterns to try, which is nice when you're planning out your design to have lots of ideas and choices. So I'm just gonna wet my brushes here and then dry off the excess. So let's start with the small one here. I'm going to use the small 3/0 brush. And this took me a long time to learn, but lots of paint helps when you're painting these. So here, and you start at the tip, and that's when you're going to push down and follow the curve here. And then lighten your pressure as you get to the tip. Okay, I'm gonna press down and lighten as we go. Okay, so I don't clean my brush between each stroke, but definitely between each color. We'll try this next color here. So again, good amount of paint. I'm going to try the same size brush. Use a little bit more paint and a little bit more pressure. And then lessen the pressure as you get to the top. And here we'll do the same thing. Push down. There. And I will say for me, this kind of pull down stroke is a lot harder for me to get even now. Sometimes I'll actually, if it's a small mandala, I'll like reach over and go up because it's easier for me. So this upstroke is a lot easier. So you'll see, so I've got lots of paint. I'm gonna push down and lighten pressure as I go. I'll do the other side. And you'll find as you're practicing, sometimes one side is easier than the other. So you just have to, these guide sheets are perfect just to learn and practice. Okay, and let's do the last one here. So I like this design for practice because you go both ways. You have a thicker and a thinner. So I was actually able to get it all done with the 3/0 brush. But you can do the same pattern with a bigger brush and get a bigger design. So it just depends how big. I don't do a lot of really large pieces, so these smaller brushes usually work well for me. Okay, I'm gonna do this same design just from the side. So we'll see if you can see. Again, I'm holding my brush the same way that I hold my pencil. So I write like this. So I'm holding my brush in the same way. Okay, I'm gonna do this design with the 0 brush. We'll just see how it looks. So for this middle one, I'm just gonna get a little less paint because it's smaller. Okay, I'll go and follow the design here. So it's not as nice of a tapered end with the bigger brush. So if I was doing this for real and I knew it was a nice small stroke. Sorry, there's a plane or a helicopter. Wait for it to pass. Okay. So next one, this is the pull down. So we're gonna go and these brushstrokes guide sheets are great because then you know kind of how much pressure you need to fill that space. And you can go back and say, oh, I didn't fill that one as much, so I need to either use more paint or more pressure if I want it as thick as the guide mark. And then you'll learn you'll get a feel for how much pressure you need for certain spaces. So when I'm filling in like little spaces, I know what brush I want to use and how much paint I want to use to fill that spot now with experience. Okay, I'm going to do this last one. And here. Looks good. Okay, so that took me about 15 minutes. to finish. It's really pretty, and as I went, you know, I would see that these were a little bit uneven. So as I went down, I would try to put more pressure on this left hand stroke so that I could get it more even. And I think by the end, it looked more even to me. So you kind of critique with each row and just look back and see, oh, these were good. These were different. What can I do to make the next row better? So it's a good way. Self-critique is always helpful. That way you can kind of see where your particular strengths are and where you can make like minor adjustments to improve. So even for me, I feel pretty comfortable, but this pattern, I feel like it got better and better as I got to the bottom. Okay, I wanted to show you one last thing. So these were, I wish I had written a date on here, but these were early 2023. These are also Demi's practice sheets. So I practice with different brushes here. Here's her strokes, here are mine. And they just, you know, were good first tries, but they weren't perfect. Here's another sheet here, you know, trying to do the bigger brush strokes, and here's Demi's, and then here's mine, and they kind of vary and have gaps and, you know, lots of different things that I could improve. And then you can see my current sheet where I'm pretty happy with it. So it just takes time to get from here to here. All right, I hope everyone was able to take home something from that left-handed brush stroke practice. Here is my final sheet. It's pretty, I like it. And I can see that I actually got better going down as I practiced and kind of tweaked what I didn't like in these earlier rows and made them thicker as I went down. So I think even if you're an experienced artist, you can benefit from practicing. So either on cardstock or in a notebook, I have one of those too, or, you know, purchase guide sheets, anything just to get that hand motion and that muscle memory on how to create the brush strokes exactly how you want. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you can email me. My email will be linked below. And thank you for watching.